Well, I just want to thank you for being the first guest on Hungry Panda Podcast. So on this podcast, we basically talk about the overall theme is, what makes you hungry about life. And before I announce your name, I met this dude. I'm going to talk to you in third person. So for all the viewers out there, I met this dude about 3 years ago now. We were doing extra work together. We were on a show called Feud, and we were there for about 3 weeks. And we had all just moved there. We had our aspirations. I was very acting focused. Keenan also was in acting as well. I already said your first name, but whatever. And then you kind of went off, did the auditions for a little bit. You started studying with some monks and meditating with them in India, which I do want to touch on. And now you're in Arizona doing entrepreneurship. Not in Arizona. Huh?
Utah.
Oh, you're in Utah. That's right. Okay, Utah. Sorry. Why did I think it was Arizona? Anyways.
There's more Mormons here than there is in Arizona, that's for sure.
Okay, so Utah. Dope. Well, Keenan Crosby, thank you so much. Appreciate it. But just for the audience, I just kind of want to start from, before you even came to LA with, the whole goal of being an actor, kind of what was going through your head. Yeah.
So I don't even know if you know this story, actually. I don't know if I ever talked about it when we worked together on Feud. Actually, the reason I decided to pull the trigger, it's kind of a longer story, but it all comes down to, I used to be a really heavy drinker and doer of recreational drugs. So one night I decided it was a good idea to do a lot of cocaine, and I was at a bar. And it was all you can drink domestic beer from 6 to 10 p.m. for $10. And so I was like, I'm gonna get my money's worth, which I don't know how you couldn't, given the circumstances. But anyway, I doubled down. I drank really hard, and then I ran into this guy, and he was like, "Hey, how about cocaine?" And I was like, "Well, how about it?" And so we had ourselves a day, and that carried on into the night, as it does. And I ended up leaving that guy's house. It ended up 3 or 4 in the morning. And it was a blizzard outside, and I had an MRI in the morning for a shoulder issue. And so I was like, I need to leave. I need to catch my MRI. For whatever reason, I decided that was the responsible thing to do, as opposed to all the drinking. But even though the last 10 hours was a lapse of responsibility, I was like, I need to catch this doctor's appointment. And so I drove home. I was driving home. My car spun out, went into a ditch. I had to I had some nice stranger stop by, and he was like, "Hey, I called the police. They'll come help you." And I was like, "Wish you would have done that." And he was like, "Yeah, you smell like alcohol." And I was like, "Yeah, I do." So I ended up crawling out of my car, and went on a 45. So I crawled out the window that way, and then waited for the cop, and then I had to wait for my mom and stepdad to help me get it towed and everything like that. And I realized at that moment, I was like, I need to get out of here because I got bad habits, I've got a bad environment, I need to change my life. And so originally, I was going to move to Salt Lake because that was the far move when you're living in the North Cliff, Utah. It was 40 minutes away.
That's the city, Salt Lake City, so.
Yeah. So I was going to do that because I had a manager at the restaurant I was working at the time transfer down to the one in Salt Lake. And right before I was about to make the move and everything, she got fired from that restaurant for embezzlement. And so I was like, well, maybe I shouldn't do that because they're not going to be like, you knew her? Come on down. And so I was talking to my friend Scott, and he'd been trying to get me moved to California, and I kept telling him I was going to move to California for 4 or 5 years, And he was like, dude, just do it. And so I was like, okay. So I set a date and decided that I had been wanting to move out there, to live out there, and I wanted to pursue music. And because I've been a rapper since I was 19. I was a singer and a screamer in a band before that. Yeah, word.
Get it, boy.
And, so I was like, you're right. And I packed up all my stuff in my car, saved up about $2,000, and I moved to Los Angeles.
Wow. That's pretty crazy. So, you basically, you hit a breaking point of kind of a fork in the road, if you will, of I could keep going down this path, but it doesn't really seem like the best path to go, or I could take a leap of faith and try to move out to the big city in LA.
Yeah, the irony there is that, and you know, I'm sure we'll touch on this, but the irony there is that I didn't decide to quit drinking or doing crazy stuff. I was like, no, I just need to get out of Utah.
I just need to get away from this environment with the drinking and everything that can still... It's not the drinking at all. It's fine. It's fine. It's not me.
Cocaine. It's Utah.
Right, of course. It's always the place.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that, you know, that I'm sure we'll touch on later, but yeah, so...
So, like, when you first got... Because, I mean, you hear a lot of stories of people first coming to LA, like... Was LA at all what you thought? It was just a new beginning? Like, what were kind of the first mentalities that you had when you first moved to the big city? And did you, like, have, like, oh my God, what did I just do moments? Or, like, I don't know how to do this? Or, like, or were you just like, okay, then we're going to do it, go?
So, ironically, when I packed up my car and I moved, I got all the way to Corona in one day, because it's a 12-hour drive. Got all the way to Corona, and my timing belt in my car snapped. So shit got real immediately.
Real quick. Wow.
Real quick, yeah, because I'd saved up $2,000, and then the timing belt fiasco plus the hotel room and all that shit ended up costing me like $400.
Oh my God.
So my $2,000 went to $1,600 before I ever got in my apartment, and I didn't have a job lined up or anything like that. Now it's cool side note of manifestation. I was looking into where I was going to move to, which was Redondo Beach, this little place called Riviera Village. If you ever get a chance, it's awesome. Go check it out. But I was looking around at like restaurants because I was a waiter, and I was like, oh, it's easy to get waiting jobs. And there was a place called Good Stuff, and I saw on the internet, and there was like a really hot girl on the picture, and I was like, oh, that'd be a cool place.
I mean, why not? Let's go
like
for it.
Chill food, and there's a hot girl on there. It's great. So I went and applied there, and they said they weren't really hiring, but I made a really good impression. Kind of told a little bit of my story, made a really good impression on her, and then I got interviewed by the store manager, and they hired me within like a couple weeks of me living in Los Angeles.
Wow.
Yeah, I made it down. I think I had like $250 left by the time I got my first shift and I got out of training and everything. So I was like, woo. Yeah.
And this is like kind of, I mean, before we get into like the spiritual realm of your journey,
sure.
This is like before any of that. So it wasn't. Was it like you trusting in like just doing it, or like kind of just off whims and like you having no clue what was going on?
Totally unconscious.
Okay.
It was just like, oh, that'd be cool.
Right.
There was no like predetermined.
Like you didn't even realize that you were manifesting it, or like even had that intent. It was just kind of rolling with that, and just like, oh, later on, retrospective, you're like, oh, I kind of did make that happen.
Yeah, it was unconscious manifestation of reality. You know what I mean? Like,
wow.
I didn't, because I fly to other restaurants and shit too. Mm-hmm. It's just it's just funny to me, like looking back in retrospect, how setting that stage ended up playing such a big role. And then and then there's things that happened down the road, and it all became this really crazy, like. It's so interesting to look back at life in a retrospective manner, because you can see, like, there's a really cool quote by Les Brown that's like, you can never connect the dots looking forward. You can only connect them looking back.
Yeah. I'm actually trying to now, I mean, I do more journaling and stuff like that, but I'm trying now to look retrospectively as quick as I can, so that I can connect the dots rather than be like, then next year connecting the dots of the previous 3 years. It's like, what can I learn exactly right now so that I can make sense of literally yesterday's situation?
Mm-hmm. But some of those things are impossible. You know, like, there was a couple situations where I got fired down the road that ended up being really, really good for me. But, you know, even a day after you get fired, you can't be like, oh, I see it all.
Right.
You're like, I'm poor now, you know, and it's like, what am I going to do? Mm-hmm. And then there's the whole, I slept on couches for a couple of years in Los Angeles. Like, when you met me, I was sleeping on somebody's couch.
Were you really?
I don't know if you remember that or not, but I was sleeping on my buddy's couch.
Well, I think the first time we saw each other after that 3 weeks, which was like maybe 6 months, even 8 months later, I was helping you with the self-tape. And that was your spot that you're at, right? Because you had it was like an apartment spot.
Oh, we did the audition tape?
Yeah.
No, that was where I was living, but that was my friend's apartment.
Oh, and I didn't know that. Interesting.
Yeah, that couch was my bed.
I mean, I think,
I swear I would have told you that.
LA, it humbles you, man. You gotta do what you gotta do to get stuff done, for sure. I mean, I was very blessed, and I came out here. Thank God I had a friend out here who helped me get an apartment and everything like that. But I've had my ex-roommate, he lived in his car for like 2 weeks or something like that. I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't even know if I got that in me. You can do whatever you need to, obviously, but...
Dude, I slept in between Redondo Beach and moving to Canoga Park, Northridge area.
Mm-hmm.
I slept on a 40 or 50-year-old woman's futon with no mattress that ended up being flea infested for like a few weeks, like 2 or 3 weeks.
Wow.
Yeah.
And in that time, like when you're laying on the couch, did you ever think of, man, I need to go back to Utah? Like, what am I doing?
Sure.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I had already agreed to move up to Northridge, and so it wasn't that big of a deal because I knew that was coming. But it's hard, man. I mean, when especially like when the flea thing happened, that was that was a test. I was getting tested.
No, for sure. So after the feud thing, you tried the audition game in LA, and you just come to this realization that this life isn't for you, and then what happened? What happened? I want you to take us to what happened, where you went, all that stuff. Because it's a very, like we've talked about before, it's a very 180 flip. And I feel like, especially when you come out here for the dream, the more you learn, the more you're in like these humble situations, you start to realize more of who you are and what you actually want.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
My first student project is a speaking role. I was typecast immediately as like broy douchey dude.
I don't feel that at all.
Good. This is really positive. And so that was interesting. And then I had a couple other like front of camera type things that were of a similar. They were all student role type stuff, and I was starting to do the acting thing. But like the memorization process, the learning the lines and all that stuff, it wasn't like super. I didn't get me excited to get up in the morning. It wasn't, and I always hear like if you're gonna do something like that, you're gonna go all in.
Right.
You want to be excited when you wake up,
Right.
And it, so that for me it was a little interesting because, I thought when I went into it that I thought it'd be a cool job, but it still at the end of the day felt like a job. And a lot of people, and if you're living in LA, you're working 60 hours a week if you're in that industry. Like you need to love it because otherwise it's a job, and it's not that dope. I mean, it's cool. Like, would I rather be working in film as a PA and first AD and stuff than like working at AT&T down the street? Yeah, for sure. That was way cooler. But at the same time, I'm making more now, and it's a transitional thing. But yeah, so I was working in the film and TV industry, and I just got to a point where it's like, I'm very blessed. I was working regularly. And you know how hard that is. I was working as like a RPA or assistant director or production assistant. I was working like 2-3 weeks out of the month, which is phenomenal for that kind of work.
Yeah, no, that's amazing.
Yeah. And I was paying rent. I was living, at this point I was living in essentially a Harry Potter closet in Long Beach, but I was,
At least you living somewhere though.
Dude, I had my own room for the first time in like 2 years though.
Wow.
2 or 3 years, yeah. Yeah, it's crazy. And by room, I mean I had a door that closed. It was legitimately like as big as my mattress with a tiny little part for my clothes. Like that's all I had, and it was fine. It set up for what I ended up doing. It helped a lot because I realized how little I needed. But I don't know. I got to the point where I was like, is this the path I want to go down? Is this really what I want? And during the time of, I kind of need to back up a little bit. So when I was living in the place that you met me living in. Because you met me after it all went down. So I got a DUI and totaled my car and woke up in LA County Jail.
Whoa.
Yeah, before I ever started working on Feud. That's why Crazy James had to take me to set.
Oh, that's right. Do you remember that happened? Okay, yeah. It's going back.
So when I woke up in LA County Jail, that shit's crazy. That's like the movies. Like people are yelling. It's nuts.
Yeah, I wouldn't doubt it.
It's terrifying.
Yeah, it's
and
not
I was
Disneyland.
like, and that was a hardcore reflection moment where it was like, this is who you are right now, unless you do something about it. And that's all it took for me to realize, this isn't who I am. I will never. And this was like my 3rd or 4th time being in a jail cell. So it was like.
Yeah, the 3rd time's a charm, man. Especially in LA, I think that's a different story.
Utah jails aren't nearly as scary. You know?
Yeah.
I mean, I had a weird experience once, but like, LA County Jail is a crazy, crazy place. And I just knew at that moment, you know, I had totaled my car. I'd missed work the following morning because I woke up in jail, so I couldn't make my shift for some reason. So I was fired from my job. All the money I'd saved up to get an apartment I had to spend on the DUI. The car was totaled, everything. And I had a realization where it was like, brother, I have to double down. And I decided, like, I can be a waiter and a drinker and a partier and everything back in Utah. That's not why I came out here. And I started doing a little bit of the film stuff. I'd been working as a PA and a second AD and stuff like that a little bit. And so I decided if I can't make money in the film industry, I'm not staying out here. And so I decided that's the only thing I would ever do was rather background act, production assistant, or anything that involved being on some end of the camera. Mm-hmm. And it worked. Now, I scraped by. It was not ideal. And the guy that I was living with decided that I needed to start paying him for his couch. So I was having to scrape together money, and he was like, no, I feel like I'm enabling you, and that's a whole other story. But like, essentially, it was a dick move. Let's just put it that way. But anyway, so that is when I started doing background on doing all the calls, and, you know, trying to win the lottery every day and all that crap to get on the set and everything.
Right.
And yeah, I did it for about 2 years straight, working background gigs or production assistant, art assistant, director's assistant, all that stuff. And like I said, I decided that I wasn't fulfilled. Now, at this time, after the DUI and everything, I started meditating every day. I started meditating every single morning, and I tried to do it when I was drinking, but it was off and on because it's really hard to meditate when you're hungover.
What got you into meditating at that time? Like, did it just like click in your mind that you should meditate, or you've been hearing about it?
Oh, so So before I ever moved out to Los Angeles, before the cocaine snowstorm had set in, I went to Oregon with my brothers, and there's a bookstore there called Powell's. It's a city block, 4 stories tall, of just books. It's probably the greatest place in America, besides like the Natural Museum of American History, or the American Museum of Natural History. That's a great place. But I had been told, I had just had this girl that I was dating at the restaurant I was working at. I'd been dating her, and then she started banging another guy that worked there, and then she started banging another guy that worked there, all while continuing to date me. And then every time I'd call her out, she would deny it. And so that was super healthy. And then,
Said she's a keeper.
Yeah, she's a great lady.
Great.
And then, so essentially she ends up stopped hanging out with me and starts dating one of the cooks there or whatever. And I was having a hard time with that for some reason. And so someone had said, like, I should look into possibly I think my mom actually. This is one of the few times I've actually listened to what my mom told me. But,
go mom.
for real.
Shout out.
But I was like, all right, maybe I'll look into it. And I found this book just like spoke to me when I was at Powell's bookstore in Oregon, and I found it. And it was about Kundalini meditation, which is a totally different type of thing. It's intense. There's lots of chanting and breath work and like chakras and all that stuff.
I have a friend that's really into that. Yeah,
it's powerful.
Yo, she's a spiritual gangster. What's up?
Yeah.
Literally.
Think of like a gang. Anyway, so like, but yeah, so I'd been reading that a little bit, and I'd kind of been getting into it that regard. And so that was the early introduction. But I wasn't doing it every day. I was doing it here and there. Like when I was living in Redondo Beach, I'd go to the beach and meditate on sunset. I remember one time there was like a blood red moon. I went and meditated. That got intense. Things like that happened. And so I'd always been doing the meditation, but it wasn't like an everyday practice. It was more of like, this will be fun right now. But I continued to read books. Like I was raised LDS, Mormon, and at 16 I decided I didn't really believe in that. And so instead of just being like, fuck the world, I decided to find out what I did believe in. And so I started studying the Bible in isolation. I started looking into Buddhism, Hinduism, etc.
So just different theologies in general.
Yeah, I just wanted to know what everybody else was talking about.
Right.
And so, yeah, that kind of started it. And then when I stopped drinking, it helped with the mental aspect of it, because I didn't, a lot of the reason people say they need a couple drinks is to take the edge off, you know what I mean? Sure. And so I was trying to dull the edge in a way that didn't involve drinking my face off. And So I started like doing, like 10, I think I started with like 5 or 10 minutes every day. I think I started with guided ones, and then I read some books, and then I started doing different practices, and then it went to like 20 minutes, and I stayed at 20 minutes for quite a while. And then I got really ballsy and bumped it up to 30.
Wow.
Recently, within the last month and a half, I've been doing 45.
45 minutes.
Yeah.
So yeah, sorry, continue.
No, you're good. But so I knew that I was interested in this kind of stuff. And the thing for me was that I think meditation really helped keep me sober from alcohol and all the other drugs and everything. And the weird thing is that when I was doing this daily meditation, I stopped smoking weed as well, which I never expected. I figured I'd be a stoner for life. I was very adamant about my love for weed. I'm pretty sure I brought weed to the set. Honestly, dude, I don't remember if I had stopped.
Yo, it's LA. They're probably on it too.
That was my claim to fame before I quit smoking, is I've smoked on every lot in Los Angeles. I have.
Check. That's funny.
So, I don't know, there was something that was weird. Within I remember I was in Portland with some family members, and I was having this long conversation with my brother about weed and this and that and the other. But essentially, I decided to quit smoking weed and go from vegetarian to vegan in the same week. And a lot of it had to do with meditation, because it was just things that felt intuitively right, I went towards.
You just flipped and changed pretty
that's
quick.
probably my go-to, because that's how I did with going to LA. That's when I turned vegetarian, because I was working at a steakhouse, and I had this weird realization where I was like, this is fucked.
So I feel like if you're gonna do something, you literally just go all in. Like, these are everything. So I'm gonna try this. I'm gonna try that. See if that works. And try that.
I'm a 2-footer.
Okay. I feel that because I'm the same the same exact way, dude. Same way.
Yeah, and and some people say it's better to ease in or whatever. Whatever works. Everyone has their own way. For me, it's like just double down and balls to the wall.
Right. I mean, my dad just pushed me into a swimming pool. Tell me about it. But yeah, I mean, I think there's perks to both for sure, but it definitely does depend on your personality. But yeah, so you're saying that you're getting the 45-minute meditations, and that's helped you.
Yeah, it has. Well, I mean, so I think where this all stemmed from was we were talking about what made me leave Los Angeles, right?
Right.
So what made me leave Los Angeles? I don't know. I just felt like I didn't feel fulfilled. I didn't feel, and I think there's some merit in people are like, oh, chase your passion, but that doesn't necessarily provide value. So I wanted to provide value as well, and it didn't necessarily have to be a passion thing. But I thought I'd started doing daily meditation. I started doing yoga on the beach in Long Beach, which was tight, and it was pretty too.
I mean, I go to a park nearby here. It's not Long Beach, but even just chilling there, just sitting in the sun. At first, I'd feel awkward meditating just in the middle of the grass. But I'm just this is cool. You just feel everything. It's nice. Once you get over the anxiety of being out in public, but I definitely feel that.
Yeah, no, for sure. And then that's a whole other conversation. But I first I thought obviously I don't want to do this film and TV thing. I want to do something where I can provide a value and I can help people in the way that I was helped. So maybe if I stop, maybe if I start teaching meditation and yoga, I can teach people some of the things that help me clear my mind and become happier internally and stuff like that. So I talked to a few people, and I ended up getting linked up with this girl. I was originally just going to go to Thailand. This girl was like, no, you have to go to Rishikesh, India. It's the yoga capital of the world. And I was like, okay, So then I was like, cool, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to take all my shit, I'm going to move it back to Utah and put it in my mom's house, and I'm going to buy a one-way ticket to Thailand. And then I'm going to buy my ticket into India, because you have to buy a ticket that goes into India and out of India, so they'll give you your visa.
Wow.
Because they're worried about people moving there and staying.
Right, one-way ticket though. Wow, that's commitment.
But I do have a 10-year visa to India, which is crazy.
You have a 10-year visa to India? Wow.
I don't. Yeah, I told some people from other countries, and they're like, America's crazy.
Are you gonna go back, or do you plan on going back?
Hell yeah.
Okay, yeah. We should go back. We should go together. That'd be dope.
Dude, bro, I will.
Literally, I'm pretty much proposing that because I do next year, probably at the latest. I do want to do that. I want to try basically the experience similar to the experience that you had.
Dude, I'll run it back. It was crazy.
I'm super down. Take me down the road, man.
Dude, yes. Anyway, so place is crazy. So I decided I wanted to get certified as a meditation teacher and possibly a yoga teacher.
Wow.
I didn't know where. I just felt like I'm going to go to this Rishikesh and I'm going to walk around until I find something that feels right. That was my research. Even though we live in a day and age where it's super easy to Google stuff.
So you just like went out. You just went down the street and just kind of just figured it out.
I literally wandered Rishikesh for like 2 days.
Wow.
And I don't know, this one place spoke to me. I walked in there and I saw they were starting a yoga school in like 2 or 3 days. So I went and talked to them. And I liked the lady. I met Guruji, Vishnu. And we talked for a little bit and I was like, this feels right. So I joined the shit.
What?
And it's usually like a month for the 200-hour teacher training and then like a month for the 300-hour, which is still kind of intense. It's still like 10 to 12-hour days or whatever.
Okay.
But my 200-hour was 2.5 weeks. So it was like, on crack, basically. Like it was
That's a lot in 2.5 weeks.
Yoga on crack, bro. And it was because it was like you do yoga in the morning. We had an hour meditation class in the morning, and then we had a yoga postures, asanas, which is the Western yoga. And then we'd have like philosophy, anatomy, yada yada yada. And then there'd be another asana class at the end. So we were doing what Westerners describe to be yoga 2 times a day.
Okay.
So in the morning and at night, and then we'd have food and yada yada. And it was all like vegan, vegetarian friendly, so that was cool. But so I did those 2 things back to back, and towards the end of my 300-hour class, because I was gonna do this is important. So I was gonna do a meditation teaching, but what I found the purpose of yoga is to be able to sit in a meditative posture comfortably for a long period of time. I didn't know that's what the whole purpose of yoga was. I thought it was the stretching and the breathing and
which typically most people think.
Lululemon I figured was important.
Right.
But no.
But actually to find Zen within each placement of your body.
Well, the reason they do the postures and stuff is so they can make their body flexible enough to be able to sit in a meditative posture with an erect spine for a long period of time.
Which I'm definitely still working on.
Yeah, no, and it's cool. I was like, I didn't know that. That's really interesting. I resonate with that, you know. And so I decided I was like, I'll do the full 300 hours. So I actually am 500-hour yoga teacher trained certified. I could teach the shit out of some yoga. Yeah.
There you go.
But the funny thing is, the whole time I was, and I'm going to put a small side note, and then we'll go back to this, but the whole time I was traveling, I'd still have to shave. And I still had this idea that I had back when I was, even before meeting you on Feud.
Okay, yeah.
And
this
I was
is a
like,
good plug for later.
We'll go. But every time I was shaving, I was like, shit, I still wish I had one of those things that I thought of in my head. But I never did it. I was doing the yoga thing.
Okay.
And then I talked to some people about this Vipassana meditation course. And they were like, it's hard. It's 10-day silent meditation course. And I was like super intimidated by it.
Well,
Just
sure.
like, that sounds intense.
That's a lot.
It's a lot. And so I ended up becoming friends with the guy who went and did it and came back by the time I was about to be done with my 300 hours. And he was like, you should go. You're ready. And I was like, fuck it. And so I signed up. I found one in India because I only had a month left in India. So I signed one, only a month left. Like, that's how spoiled I was. So I had a month left in India. And I found a course that was going to be around I would be able to leave in time with my visa and my plane and everything.
Oh, so everything would work out in general. Okay.
And so I traveled with a guy for my 300-hour course. We went to like Taj Mahal and a bunch of other cool places in India. And then we split off. I went and did my 10-day course, and then I left India like 2 days later.
Wow. That's quick. Talk about perfect timing.
Dude, my life, like the retrospect timeline of my manifestation is absolutely insane.
That's kind of what I'm realizing about like life in general. Once you start surrendering to just your thoughts and just being a part of the universe, is that thing you notice that things just happen.